What it do, what it do on a hump day edition of Outlaw Radio, Death and Taxes. My name is Kevin Barnes, and I'm not your baby daddy. I promise you. But welcome to the hump day edition, man. Say hi to the bad guy. Time to have a little fun, man. Get serious, get goofy, get wild, get deep, get shallow, be petty. All these types of good things, man. So welcome to the show. I'm not alone. As usual, I have my co-host, Mr. Carter. What's going on with you, my good brother?
Peace. Life is what's going on, man. How y'all doing out there? Welcome to Outlaw Radio, where we talk that talk and we definitely walk that walk. Raising vibrations. Wait a minute. Let me back that up. Walk it like I talk. Walk it like I talk. Walk it like I talk.
No, he
Now
did
let me
not.
start. Shout out to Takeoff. I had to do that right quick. But let me start that over, man. Welcome to Outlaw Radio, where we talk that talk and we definitely walk that walk. Raising vibrations and elevating talk. Y'all better come on in. I'm trying to tell you why I am the black woman lover, the black man's brother, the culture teacher, the hood healer, the ghetto witch doctor, y'all holistic health and wellness coach, Mr. Kamar Carter. I'm also the one who brings you nature, nature, herbs, and supplements, and vitality. You can find it on Facebook, Nature, Nature, Herbs, and Supplements, or you can go to my health page, Help Yourself, Heal Thyself, ask somebody about it. They're going to point you in my direction. You go to my page, Kamar Carter, inbox me, and I'll tell you how to get your nature, nature, herbs, and supplements, and vitality. Come on in, y'all.
With that said, welcome to the show, brother Kamar. Nice, spicy infomercial to start the show off. I do have a guest host tonight, and I can't, I feel funny about calling him a guest because he's been on here, a bunch of times, and it's like Carson when if somebody was known to be a regular on there, it's like they weren't a guest after a while. So I want to welcome this brother to the show.
He get his own segment,
right? Tell these people who you are and what you do.
Vince Tony, born and raised in Milwaukee, semi-retired. I not contemplating. I announced today that I'm going to be running for alderman in the 1st district. So I'm here to promote myself and let people know that it's time for change and that the city needs to move in a different direction. And from that perspective, I'm alderman in the 1st district, so I'm concerned about the 1st district, and hopefully some of the things that we can do in the 1st district will kind of spill over into the other districts, and we can start working together as alderpersons and have some transparency.
That's what's up, and we're going to talk about the Common Council in Milwaukee right now. You better believe it. We're going to discuss that tonight ad nauseum. Shout out to Deion James. He said in the building, right? Thank you for tuning in, Deion, supporter as usual. Vince, like Kamar said, to start the show off, I did want to discuss this young brother Takeoff from the Migos. Now I'm no Migos fan, right? Because I'm an old dude, right? But I do understand their position in rap and entertainment. He lost his life in Houston. Now, we always find some sort of way to argue about something. Black people, we get into an argument about the argument. We get to arguing over what we was arguing about. I'm telling you, man, you don't even know, right? So all of a sudden now, people's condolences and tributes to him. Conversation becomes, well, what about when regular people die? Just because he was a celebrity, that don't mean shit. It's like, damn, we're that visceral.
So since I'm popular or since I'm successful in life, you know what I mean? I ain't shit.
Well, I think the comparison is, people are saying, well, who cares about a rapper, a rich dude who gets killed allegedly at some crap game or something, when there's people every day, regular people on the street dying every day, and there's no celebrity tributes and all of that. And I'm like, why does it go to that extreme? Right. I don't really understand why. Can we just say, okay, it's a shame, it's a tragedy. Young man lost his life over some foolishness.
I feel like since he's a celebrity or celebrities, not even just him. You know what I mean? It's more people know about him. So it do affect more people, and more people gonna talk about it than it would just the average person that got killed. You know what I mean? So somebody get killed, your guy down the street gets shot. Everybody on Facebook ain't gonna be talking about that because everybody on Facebook don't know him. You see what I'm saying? I
I
ain't
think,
saying that it's right and I ain't saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying on why, you know what I mean? It seemed like people make a bigger emphasis on celebrities when they pass.
well,
I just
you
feel
know,
like it's just because more people know.
Yeah, I kind of look at it when I see it in any of them when they pass. I mean, it's a read. They're gone, and I mean it's no different from someone locally. I mean
Right.
it's a read. They're gone. We I mean we know him. I don't know this person specifically. I just understand that he's a rapper. And from tomorrow, I may not even think about it again. As may I not think about other people that who have passed in the city.
right.
It's just
Well,
something.
I think you got to be careful when you start to say that, because that kind of suggests that black people don't care about the violence in the hood. Like they don't care about when somebody, like you're saying, well, you don't care about murder unless some celebrity dies, right? That and people will pick up on that and kind of, and that's a false narrative, because in this community, as long as I've been here, there's been violence and there's always been a reaction to it, whether it was like a vigil or people march or have big like balloon releases. It's not like people here are cool with it, like, oh well, or black people in America in general. I'm just always surprised at how something happens and we turn on us eventually,
Right.
right?
Find a way to turn on us.
It doesn't matter what happens. The opposition or the people who think differently than you become your enemy. They can't coexist. It has to be, oh, I hate you, right? Like, so black people, that's something that's some of our built-in kind of. I don't know if that's the competitive nature from being in the cotton field and feeling like I got to pick more cotton than them,
Nah,
so I
but
can make sure we straight. I don't
I
know if
think
that's
it is a form of PTSD though.
okay. Okay. Yeah. I'd like to know. I'd like to know. We'll have that conversation here tonight. Since Vince is running, like he said, for alderman, first district,
Yes, first
which
district.
is the neighborhood that I grew up in.
Hmm.
So that neighborhood always has a place in my heart. So
Absolutely.
yeah. So okay, so let's talk about the common council right now. There are what, 4 or 5 vacancies, where there's
Five
four and then there's one
vacancies.
coming up, right?
Yeah, I think Dodd is going to be resigning at the end of this month.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So
Dot,
that's
she's
five
leaving.
positions, and that's. I mean, it was four, and I think that represented about 152,000 people. I'm not really sure how many in her district. So we've got a lot of people and in our community that are underrepresented, and decisions are being made, and what's left of the common council, people are voting on issues that affect the entire city without representation of everybody in the city. So I think that's a
Okay.
problem, right? And my understanding, I called the election commission. Their plan, the common council's plan is to by the end of the month announce that they're going to have an election in April of next year, 2023. Which I think, if that's the case, then they shouldn't vote on anything until April 2023.
Right.
That's what I was saying. That's
That
what I was
makes
about to
sense.
ask. Like, okay, if we have these vacancies, how is that? How's that done? Like, are they just not meeting, or is
I
there is
think.
there nobody who can step in if an alderman leaves, like a assistant or something like that? It's
No,
just
and I
vague.
think they're talking about this not happening again. So I'm figuring that they're going to figure out, well, if something like this does happen, what's going to happen in the interim and who's going to be able to make decisions for the community. So it sounds like, and I'm not sure, this is speculative, is that it would be like the president and the vice president. So you have the alderman, you have the assistant alderman that might step in, if something happens. So that's the only way that I can see it happening, possibly.
So let's get down to the nitty gritty of it. What's going on? How did this all of a sudden become a shit job? Excuse my language. How did all of a sudden? Because for a minute, this was the gig to have. I mean, they was coasting. They was everything was
Hey,
everything. They
I
sure
think
wrote out the
that
quarantine
was a damn
lovely.
good question. I was promised I was just sitting here thinking the same thing, man. Shouldn't
I
these
think
people
it's
want these jobs?
some inside stuff. I think people aren't happy or satisfied with what's going. I mean, that's this is all speculative in my personal opinion. Is that they're not happy about what's going on, and when you look at the situation with the Barrett leaving, Cavalier stepping in, he appointing one of the other alderpersons to be the budget director under him, the movement of things. I just don't think people are satisfied with what's going on. There's too many connections and some people probably feel like they've been disenfranchised because of what's going on. And we know that at one point in time that Barrett controlled things, and Alderman Hamilton was the council president, and whatever's you know they had in terms of Lena Turner and him supporting her, and why he may have
Lena Taylor.
yeah, Lena Taylor, and just a lot of turmoil that's going on within the Common Council. They had at one point the blacks. You had six blacks, and you had the others, and then Cavalier was appointed so Barrett could get his way, if you will. So if the blacks that were there, they voted for one thing, and the others voted for something else. Cavalier had the deciding vote, which was going to go towards the mayor.
Right. Okay.
That's the way I see things. So I guess people are happy with what's going on. I don't see a reason to be happy based upon what's going on in the city. And they've been in those positions for years and have not been able to affect positive change. So I would be embarrassed if I was in a situation like that and what's going on in the city.
I think it's funny that, and I'm not going to say who said this to me, but years prior, I would say about 5 years ago, I was having a conversation with an elected official, a black, foundational Black American elected official. And this person said to me, see, people in Milwaukee, they don't understand. They don't get it. See, we just got where we needed to be. We just got Ashanti in power, and we just got all the brothers. So finally, we hold a majority. This is what we've been waiting on. Y'all got to get him time to get it done. It's coming. That, like I said, was probably about 5, 6, 7 years ago. It never happened. And then not only did it not happen, it petered out because now they've all gone their separate ways. It's like a band that broke up and shit, like like the Temps, like they broke up.
Union tour, no nothing.
Right, and nothing was done. Look, the city is in worse shape now than it has been in a while. Right. And this was under their now abandoned leadership, because now it's abandonment. It was neglect before. Now it's abandonment. So I think we probably got a case against these individuals. Need some sort of support or something. Now, I don't know if you know this, but have all of them gone on to better paying jobs?
Well, I think it's evident that I think the Common Council they make about $77,000 a year.
About 90,000 now. They gave themselves a raise just 2 years.
I think that was the president.
It's hard to find a better paying job.
Yeah,
it was the whole group.
Yeah, I think what happened, and I can speak for the first district. It was an opportunity for Ashanti to make a couple. I think that Office of Violence Prevention pays close to maybe over 100,000. So it's a transition where you can make more money. So I think that's one of the reasons that he may have done it, because if we look at his record in the first district, is not stellar. So he moved on to something that maybe he figured that he can do, but I don't see it.
I don't know, I don't know why nobody has said, like, it's been forever. We, as the people of Milwaukee, in particular Black voters, we allowed them to get away with a lot for a long time. And like I said, now they're long gone.
Yes.
And so we as a people should feel duped by them, because I can't think of one thing. Like, the number, by the way, is 262-202-5131. Hit like, hit share, hit follow, share the show, share the show, share the show. That's all we ask. We have Vince Tony on here tonight.
And I'm willing to answer any question that anyone asks about myself or the first district in particular, and what I see now, in the past, and what I see in the future.
Right. Okay. Deion James said, I'm still hurt. Young Dolph was killed last year in Memphis, but I feel the pain of someone's death if I know them. I mean, I still care. Like, it matters to me either way it goes when there's Black life wasted. But I don't, it's just funny to me how people put that on there. Now, I want to talk about why I call the show Death and Taxes. I think in today's society, what we're actually taught, in particular as foundational Black Americans in the city of Milwaukee, is that you really don't have anything to look forward to or know for sure, like, except for death and taxes, because everything is about money, right? Taxes, some fee, some way to charge you, luxury tax, wheel tax, tobacco tax, stadium tax, taxes. And then it's certain death. The food, the poor health care in the community, the lack of what they call food deserts, homicide, murder, even infant mortality rate. Everywhere you look, you are almost inundated with messages of death and people dying, like sensationalized to the point where people at the scene of a car accident when somebody laying out there like, oh, and they're like, oh, look, it's like 50 phones out, right? And so death everywhere you look, and everything has that doom and gloom to it. People even play with it now in pop culture. I'm gonna do a movie where a guy dies and comes back as a woman, right?
Infatuated with death for some.
Right, you come back as a baby or come back as a dog, and it's like, okay, is this entertaining to you, motherfuckers? This is morbid. Excuse my
Mhm.
language once again, because I don't want my language to deter people from hearing Vince's message. So I'm gonna be very
Well,
careful.
This is Outlaw Radio, so
Okay, well, that's
yeah,
going,
yeah.
So, but yeah, man, death and taxes, man, and this inflation right now is so stupid. I don't think we are looking around seeing at this point. One night I was shopping in a grocery store. I paid $10 for a jar of pickles.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong; they
damn.
were supposed to be some ghetto, some gourmet pickles or whatever.
Hey,
But
those
when
some
you
good
go,
motherfucking pickles.
they wasn't even good as the $3 ones. So that's another
Damn.
show. But um, when I go to the fast food restaurant, what used to be a $3 combo, $4 combo meal is $10, $12. We're paying right now. This is unheard of years back. You paying $8, $9 for a Big Mac now.
Yeah,
For
and
a Big Mac.
I went to one just the other day, and I ordered some medium fry. I'm like, man, this is the small fry, boss. So not only are the sizes are being decreased and the price is going up, so we're not getting the same value. The dollar is just deflated completely.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy. They just announced today that the interest rates are about to go up.
exactly.
And now, hold on. I got to throw this out there just because I like to play devil's advocate. Is this because certain banks have taken a couple $1 billion out of a bank because somebody said something anti-Semitic? Could this be part of this? I'm fishing, right? Like
Yeah,
the amount of money that they have on hand is going down, so the markets are weakened by it. We're talking about a couple billy. We ain't talking about 50, $60. Deion James in the chat room. Now I gotta say this too. I did the Big Black Sports Show last night because we do Outlaw Radio on Mondays and Wednesdays. And Ian C. Jordan, who's a conservative black man and a cool Milwaukee hood type cat, but he's a Republican or conservative, as he likes to say. He was on the show last night. We were talking sports and all, the Big Black Sports Show mixes in sports and politics. So we got to talking about it. And the Outlaw Nation gave him the business because he is a Republican. They gave it to him. So shout out to them. I mean, it was hot though. I mean, that's my man though. I rocks with Ian, but it was just hot. Like but he,
Hey,
he stood in there. He ain't
yeah.
fold. He stood in
Hey,
there.
hey, just because we don't rock with the parties don't mean our listeners don't, right?
Right. So the chat room pops. So if you got something to ask Vince, like he said, it willing to answer. So Deion James says, I'm confused on why this gentleman thinks he can make a change. I will allow Vince to answer that.
yeah. I think I've been in the first districts for about 25 to 30 years. I've made changes in the community that not just the first district, but around the community. And one of the things that I've done and what needs to happen is at a lower level, we need to have something that we can hang our hats on. So in 2018, I started a project because I had gone down to the Common Council advocating against the hotspot, which we know is a hotspot in the community. We've had shootings over there every year. And in 2018, I went down to the Common Council to advocate against the hotspot getting renewing their liquor license. Well, Hamilton at the time said that I had a personal vendetta against the owner of the hotspot. Well, I don't have a personal vendetta against anybody, but I do have a problem with someone who lives in Franklin that comes into Milwaukee and poisons our people with the stuff that he's selling out of the store. It's a known fact that they've had drug transactions and what else has happened in that area. But what happened in 2018, actually, let's go back 2018 in the summer, where we have people coming in our community that want to have a cleanup. And it's like I'm fed up with people coming to our community. Specifically, sometimes they have these white groups. I think the 30th Street Corridor, Northwest Side CDC organizes cleanups, and they bring people in our community to clean up. Well, I said, well, if you're going to bring somebody in our community to clean up on a weekend, you need to bring them next weekend and the following weekend, because it's a continual problem. So you're not gonna, you're putting a band-aid on a big wound. So in 2018, after Ashante said that I had a personal vendetta against the hotspot owner, I approached the owner. I said, hey, we can agree to disagree on the liquor license, which anytime your liquor license comes up for renewal, I'm going to be the first one down there, 10 toes down, advocating against it. However, here's something that we can work on. At one point in time, the hotspot was one of the nastiest storefronts in the city. So what I did is, the project that I started, I purchased these, they call quick picks, where you pick up tools. So if I'm driving down the street and I see somebody picking up trash with their hands, I'll make a U-turn and I'll give them a quick pick. So I approached the owner of the hotspot. I said, hey, here's what we can do. We can work on this, and we can solve one problem at a time. It's one of the cleanest storefronts in the city right now. He's cooperated. So if he were to go down there with his liquor license for renewal, I would have to go down there and say, hey, I'm against that, but here's what he's done in the community. We asked him to keep his storefront clean and that area clean, and he's done it. He's done a phenomenal job on it, and I'm proud of that fact. And I think to be able, and what I've done is, over since 2018, which I've purchased over close to 500 of these quick picks, and I've given out over 400 of them. The prerequisite is that the person has to be doing something. I'm not just going to go out there and spend my money and hand somebody a quick pick for them to have it. They have to be doing the job. So if you get your
hands, quick pick, let's for clarification, the quick pick picks up trash that you
it's a tool that you pick up trash versus bending down, touching nasty garbage with your hand. Okay. And we've done that, and we've worked in my community. I say, well, I live in Roosevelt Drive, and it's the black suburbs, because the men in our community, we go out in the community and we make sure that this area is clean every single day of the week, so it doesn't look like the rest of the city. So I personally, the plan is for me is that at some point in time, we put this program together. Milwaukee becomes one of the cleanest cities in the United States. So I've approached different organizations. I've approached Andre Lee Ellis, Victor Barnett, Derek Rogers, what's his name, David Mohammed, and some other people in the community to say, hey, can we get together? And we may not agree on everything, but this is something that helps the whole city. So to answer her question, the change is to start in my district to show what can happen. Now, also, and I don't know exactly what I can do about this, but I know that we've had since for the last 10 years, we've had Eden Corporation move to Menominee Falls. We have in the process, DRS is going to be moving to Menominee Falls. They're taking 450 livable wage paying jobs with them. And we also had Astronomics move to Oak Creek. So, and on top of that, we've got nothing against Mandela, but he says he can bring manufacturing jobs back to the United States. Well, we can't keep manufacturing jobs in the community. So we need to come up with a plan in the community that's going to attract business. So one of the reasons is that we can attract business, because think for yourself, if you want to open a business in this area and attract customers, who's going to open a business in a nasty ass city?
Crime and
where there's crime and everything else. So we have to change the dynamics of the city and to be able to attract businesses. So the plan for me in this district is to do what I need to do and to be in communication with the people in the district that I work for to make these changes that are conducive to attracting new business and new investment. We can't continue to invest all of these dollars downtown, and we in the inner city are suffering like we are and not getting any of the bread. So we can get $100,000 grant, but they're spending $400,000 or $500,000 downtown. That doesn't make sense to me. How can we get some of that money here? We pay taxes. What's the program, Kev? Death or taxes? We pay them. So why do we have to continue to die when we're paying taxes? We need to get something in our community that's going to revive it and make it livable. And the quality of life has to change.
So let me catch up with my chat room. He says, this system is a good old boy system that's working in the way it's designed. I don't disagree with that. Inflation is going on around the world. It's not only here. I understand that. Let's see. Let's see. What about the meth clinic across the street from the hotspot? Is what Dion said. And I'll give Vince a chance to respond to that. Ian C. Jordan said, great show. Ian, what's going on, my brother? Ian, feel free to chime in. We're talking politics with Vince Tony, and we're gonna get into talking policy. Because while Vince is here, when it comes to talking about what's going on downtown, I want to talk micro versus macro in terms of the community. Okay, so Central City has been there off Capitol and no one does anything with it. Something is going on there now. I don't know what it is, but they building like a some bitch up there. They digging up everything. It's dump trucks and everything. So of course none of the contractors are black. But okay. So so Vince, I'm saying, and understand, people out there understand that he's running for alderman. He's not running for president. He's not running for mayor. He's not running right. He's running for alderman, which means he represents his district downtown on the common council. I like the fact that you are speaking to economic development because I truly believe that there should be several bids. I think Atkinson has been in need of a bid for a very long time, from top to bottom, and especially down on your end because it's hot as all you know what down there. That is Atkinson from end to end, though, is pretty much a challenge, right? It doesn't really matter which part you land on. You can pretty much get your head tore off.
And I think one of the things, Kev, is that we have all of these organizations in the community, Northwest Side, CDC, 30th Street Corridor, and nobody knows exactly what they're doing. We need development. We don't see anything happening. And I think things that I think is very important for me to be an alderman is to be connected to the community and have the community connected to the alderman's office, meaning that I don't think we know exactly what's going on. We're voting and they're voting on different things, and we don't really have a voice. So I think we need a voice and need somebody out there that's just going to piss people off and say, hey, this ain't going to happen. It shouldn't happen, because nobody's really talking in this city, and they're continually to spend our tax dollars wherever they wanted to spend them. So we as a people should have a right to say, in my district, to say, no, this ain't going to happen. Here's what we need, and to push for it. And if the mayor's not going to give it, then it's a negotiation. Well, you don't get what you want either. So and the common council has to be on the same level of understanding that the mayor doesn't get anything unless he gets something. But in order for him to get something, he's going to have to give something, not just downtown on the east side, but we need to see something in the inner city, period.
Right. And so that was kind of like where I was going in terms of the first district, right? Because it's really prime real estate. You're sitting right there on the expressway, not far from the lake. You on main thoroughfares. You got Green Bay Avenue, you got MLK right at, we got Capitol Drive, first of all. So it's really, and I grew up in the area, so I know it was once a very prominent area. My thing is how do you approach these individuals, CDC, Northwest Side, whatever you called it, the corridor people, because the corridor people been around a minute. What's going on in the corridor? When they gonna break dirt? Like when usually they have a ceremony with a golden shovel or something. What, they've been around for a long time. Their name is Corridor. What have they done in the corridor? That's the $1 million question. What has any of these organizations, if any of these organizations in the community, what have they done, and how can we change it? By approaching them saying, either you do what you need to do, or we as a community are going to get rid of you. I think Vince is frozen because he is not that cool, right? He can't sit still for that long. Vince, I think your signal's dropping, bro. You might have to drop out and come back in because you froze. We can't hear you. So that's what I want when we start talking to somebody who's going to vote, who's asking for our vote. We need to start saying, okay, macro versus micro. We understand that the streets need to be clean, but we also understand that the economic development is very important. But how can you, like he said, attract businesses when people scared their shit's going to get broken into, they're going to get robbed or shot? Is this not where the police department should be involved? Or, I mean, am I snitching? Am I talking about snitching? I don't know what I'm talking about here, Kamar. Um, should the police be involved? I mean, because they have to come and sit at the table, right? If we have a business district, a business investment area where economic development can happen, wouldn't it make sense to make sure the police placed an a real priority, emphasis on patrolling that area? That only makes sense. They don't get no more than everybody. No, they should. They should get extra patrols. There should be somebody stationary. This is
It's
could
their job.
potentially be a economic epicenter for us, and that's what Milwaukee needs, especially that area. So that's why I say I would like to know what each one of these organizations do. Let me know, Vince. We see if he can get back with us. But that election, that's crazy. 4 aldermen out right now, empty, with a 5th on the way, and most of them are black. So it's gonna be a bunch of new people. Look, we kept asking for change though, Kamar. We kept saying flush City Hall, right? So I guess they took heed to it.
Hey, but the problem is, we said that, but we also was saying we need to have some of our people in place on
So
who we want in that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So it's good that Vince is running, so now we at least got one motherfucker that we want in there. You know what I'm saying?
But
Right.
on that point, Kamar, I think this is a perfect opportunity to not to get 5 new people in there that's going to shake it up.
Yeah.
So there has to be some camaraderie and there has to be some transparency in that office, and I don't think we have that right now.
Hey,
I got to get back to my question for you, though, Vince.
My bad, Kevin. Before you get to that question, remember the other day we was talking about that a little bit, man. You know what I mean? Having people in there who we can trust, but then also, who was that Vince was just talking about? He just said, who was that you just said, Vince?
And
I just lost everything I was just thinking about.
You cut me off for nothing, right?
It's like off for nothing, man.
Cut me off for nothing, right? Like,
I'm horrible.
Me, I don't mean to cut you off, but listen, damn, I forgot what I was.
But it was a damn good point I was going to make, man.
Hey, don't come back, Kamar.
But no, so Vince, my question, because I want to go backwards to go forward. My question was, you mentioned all these organizations that's supposed to have purpose in the community. You get in that office. How do you hold these individuals accountable? Because they've been here a while and nothing's done. I was just asking the question about the corridor. What's being done with the corridor? Like, what if you got a business development corporation receiving some sort of grant money, federal allocation, whatever?
Yeah.
What are they doing? And if you get elected, how do you get them on board and even hold them accountable to say, look at the corridor. They've been over here 12 years. The corridor's still fucked up. Like, what's your approach?
It depends on I think what powers the common council or I have in the district. So I will talk to the individuals that are in control of those organizations. I need to see some evidence-based information that tells me what you've done as long as you've been in office and how has it benefited the community. If it hasn't, then I think some people need to say, hey, I just haven't done my job and I just need to step down. We need to get somebody in there that's going to do the job and perform for the people so we can see some outcomes. It's no different than when I see a social service organization that we have in the community that's getting grant money, but then there's no evidence-based statistics that say, hey, over the last 10, 15 years, we've had 100 boys coming through this organization. 50 of them are in prison. 5 of them are dead. Then we need to look at it, what's going on and how do we adjust to make this system work? If it's not working, how do we fix it? I don't think anybody has any fixes to it, but if we have some evidence-based information, we have something to go on and we can choose a direction that we can go. But
whoa. First of all, welcome to the show, Rail. What's going on, Rail?
Hey, peace, everybody. Hey, how y'all doing?
Oh, man, good. Splendid. Just
That's
splendid.
good.
As soon as you get a chance, Kev, I remember. As soon as you get a chance.
Write it down, Kamar.
Right, write it down. Vince, are you talking about utilizing data
Absolutely.
And establishing correlations so that you can have evidence-based, result-based organizations in your community? So If I'm hearing you correctly, I believe this is why Anita Holloman was just released.
Exactly.
Because all of a sudden the Common Council wanted the evidence, but that data, that's not how it had been running the organization.
Yeah.
I'm hearing Ashanti now say, well, the data's ready now. They don't, but I'm like, how you go get all that all of a sudden? Because you got to really do it and record it as it goes in order to to get real results. So damn, he came up with that. We ready now. We can answer all the questions.
What I think, Kevin, I think that whole Office of Violence Prevention was a setup, and I think the young lady that they got rid of, Arnita, I don't think they should have gotten rid of her. That's my personal opinion. And they can come up with the data. If Reggie Moore went from the Office of Violence Prevention to Milwaukee Medical College under the same title, which Milwaukee Medical College is a university that compiles data. So the data is there. Why wasn't she given the data to be able to present? I don't know.
Very good question. Very good question.
And so why did she get fired for not having data? Reggie Moore didn't get fired. He got promoted and given a position at a university. I don't understand the dynamics of this, and we don't have any data, but all of a sudden Ashanti is going to come up with some data. And I think this is that backroom stuff that goes on that we need to know about in the community. So when these alderperson goes in the back room and say, hey, we're going to do this for that, I've experienced it, where they went in the back room and made some decisions that wasn't in the best interest of our community. So they're making decisions based upon what's in their best interest, not in the best interest of the community. And that's the problem. And that's the problem that we have in Milwaukee, that decisions are being made and we as the people aren't being informed. What is Northwest Side CDC doing? What's the 30th Street Corridor doing?
Right.
How does it benefit us? It's not benefiting me. They're right here down the street. And the person from the 30th Street Corridor was on a radio show and called me crazy because I would just want to know what's going on.
Right.
And last year, in August of last year, when Barrett was here, he had Pastors United, Northwest Side CDC. He had everybody down there, and they said they were going to do some housing projects over in the Garden Homes area. Ain't shit happened. And they said that where's the groundbreaking? They did groundbreaking. They had everybody in the community over there, and ain't shit happened right to this day. Right. And ain't nobody said nothing. I'm pissed off.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, and that's where I'm going, because there are mechanisms that are there supposedly.
Somebody need their ass whooped.
I actually would even say, where's the community development block grant money? Where's the CDBG at? It's got to be up to what, 25 million. Do they still do that? Like, from what I understood, Common Council kind of distributed that. So where's that at? I mean, it's supposed to be stuff here. Now, Ian C. Jordan, like I said, who's a conservative. Ian, well, you're welcome to call in. Anybody's welcome to call in. The number is 262-202-5131. It ain't scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now. Let me make sure I get it up. So my Cash App will be up there just in case you decide that you need to donate to a poor man on a mission, right?
I know that's right. Hey, right? Can you put my Cash up there too, Kev?
Man, you had to give it to me for the show so I could load it up. But you put it in the chat room. Shit, you got to waste money anyways.
Yeah.
No, Ian said that's why we can't defund police. Ian, I think, you know what? And like I said, I know you lean conservative, but that was a trendy, kind of flashy hashtag. Yeah. Even the people who were saying that shit at the time knew that that's something that's not defund the police, right?
Mandela Barnes.
I think what my understanding of defunding the police, Kev, is what they created in the Office of Violence Prevention. In other words, we take money and we shift it to community organizations that can do the job that the police can do. My problem with that is they don't have the data that the police department has. And now, if I'm a policeman and you're going to give the Office of Violence Prevention some money to do my job, I ain't helping them.
Okay, so who's dumb enough? Who's dumb enough to shut the police force down and get that money to OVP? That is an ass backwards plan. Listen, I took defund the police as let's make sure the money is put in the right places, right? Not shut them down or close it, because I know people talk a lot of shit. As soon as something happens to you, who you call? 911. All right, and it's something happened to somebody in your family. Call the goddamn police. I'm on my way over there. And I know the toughest dudes, and some dudes say, I wouldn't do that shit. I handle it on my own. Good luck with that, cowboy. You see how where you end up at, right? With your ponderosa bonanza ass. Now I want to get to Kamar because did you write it down, Kamar?
No, but I do remember what I was going to talk about.
Okay,
what I was going to mention.
The floor is yours.
We was talking about getting the right people in office. You know what I mean? Having the right people who we want in there. And remember the other day we was talking about voting or whatever, and I was saying, and we was talking about being on code.
Right.
I think this is one of those situations where it's like, look, y'all, this is what the fuck we need to be on right now, because this shit ain't been working with the people who've been there with this system. We need some people in there that's gonna shake it up. We all need to be on code on this. This how we voting.
And I talked to someone just yesterday, talking about he wants to start a foundation, and the foundation consists of someone in every district that the alder person has to be accountable for. This person would represent the people, and if you and as a group now we can group these people together and we can come up with some viable solutions to problems that we're having and disseminate that amongst all of these alder people. So now we got something that we can grade you on. We got a report card now, so we got some information that we need things to happen in this area, and that area. If it's not happening, why isn't it happening? Because this is what the people is asking for. We're asking for crime to go down. What have you done that affects crime and lowers it? So we don't have any information or any data that says what anybody's done to make a difference.
Right. And like I said, this is kind of like a new thing. And a lot of people who may be listening don't understand when we talk about data. what you see most organizations switching to now is a system in which they keep track of certain things and they compile that data and they look at the data and they use that data to come up with solutions. Basically, it's a different way of managing. So because I always say, I'm old enough to remember when the data guy would be one dude who come in every meeting, every time we have a big meeting, and he'd show you a bunch of graphs and charts and shit and give you a handout and be like, this is where we are, this is where we want to be, and funding and the thresholds. And you be in the back like, man, what's this motherfucker talking about, man? If they got some more of them subs up there, and he's gone. Right. And he's gone, right? That was like, we all day, what y'all do Friday? Man, you know that motherfucker at the meeting, man, boy, little Johnson, Mr. Johnson.
Motherfucker though.
Yeah, right. But Kev, to that point, what happens, and you're absolutely right, that's what happens in corporate America. And we're all in this meeting, and the CEO has that data, and every department has the data. Here's what we need to be done in that department. When you go in that CEO's office, you ain't got the shit done. You fucking fired. You fired.
Right. And okay, so now what's now, especially in management, which I just so happen to be in, now you manage with that data individually. Yep. You don't just wait on the data guy. So I have to go and look at dashboards and reports and look at actual data and utilize that to supervise my staff. Not as an all-knowing, all ending, like, oh, if this the percentage ain't here, then you fired. No, it's hey, look, part of what we're supposed to be doing and how we keep track of it is defined by this, which means things need to be reported out and documented. That needs to happen. If it's not happening, is it because you're slipping or that you are reporting back and it's just not working? Because if it's not working,
what do we do to change it?
Right. But if it's just because you ain't caught up, you behind, it's like, get on your shit, man. So it's a new way to manage organizations, and a lot of people don't understand that. And so this has to be brought into politics more and more. On one hand, I like the Common Council calling the OVP on that, saying you can't do this unless there's data, the empirical data. You have to have it. You have to do research. But on the other hand, I call bullshit on them because you never called for that before. You didn't call for it when Reggie Moore was in charge.
Exactly.
So I just want to know how. That's why I said, how would you hold these entities, the 35th Street corridor and the CDC or whoever? How would you hold them? Okay, we got to start tracking what y'all doing too. Can I see y'all results? I like to sit down for
because I have to report to the first district, and if you in my district and you're being funded to make something happen and it's not happening, how can I go in front of my people in the community and say, hey, we're paying somebody $100,000 a year, but I don't have any results? then I need to quit because I'm not accomplishing what's best to change the quality of life. And that's the key ingredient is the quality of life in this district, meaning that my elders can now come out of the friggin' house and walk down the street and feel safe. My neighbors down the street can have their kids come outside and play in the yard. That's what I'm looking at getting back to. We can't just have people secluded and we paying all these money for these other organizations. I mean, Northwest Side CDC has bank. They got a lot of money. Where is it going? How is it going to help my community? If you're down here in my community, what are you doing to attract business, or what are you doing, or who are you giving the money to that's going to build a viable business that's going to eventually hire 10, 15 people?
Right. Welcome to the show, Rail. Man, my brother, you jumped into the middle. I didn't get a chance to,
Oh, that's
acknowledge
all
your
good.
presence. What's good with you tonight?
Oh man, bless. My lady got a sinus infection, so I had to make sure everybody was good before I kind of leave her with them, so they don't be stressing her too much. But everything all good, man. Just listen to what's going on, and I live on the Northwest Side, so I really would like to see something to where they utilize those buildings on Brown Deer. Like it's so many damn plazas on like where the old Chinese food spot used to be, the buffet place.
The
Man,
church owns it now. You talking about, are we speaking on, you said Brown Deer. I was thinking about Fond du Lac.
oh yeah, no, on Brown Deer, like across
Right
the
there
street
by
from
where the
K and
Blues
G.
Fest was.
Yeah, right there.
Over
Like
here
it's so
across from
many
K&G.
plazas over. Yeah, so many plazas over there that could be, man, roller rinks, club. Well, even if they don't want to invite the club environment, I mean, roller rinks, movie theater, all kind of stuff. I mean, they are turning them into event spaces, but right now that's the next lick. So pretty soon them gonna be oversaturated. But
Yeah. What about, from a social perspective, meaning, and what I mean by that is that, take, for example, I was in Walmart on the 24-hour Walmart one night, and some brothers was up in there working. I mean, outstanding customer service, and they had stuff locked up. And I said, well, why is, soap locked up? And the brother said is that this store could possibly close because of theft. So they keep tabs on what's going on in that store. So we have to. He said our hours are being reduced because we have a spoilage here. We're losing a lot of product, and we're not making money. So, Rail, to your point, well, how can you get a business to come out there when they're going to lose their product?
I see what you're saying.
They're not going to make money.
Yeah.
It can't happen. So there's a cultural difference that has to take place, and it starts to take place in the home. So how do we get in these homes, and how do we have livable wage paying jobs and people to go to work and to get off of welfare? I mean, if a 12-year-old can work at McDonald's, then if I'm 40 years old and I got to make some money for my family, I'm going to McDonald's. I may have to get 2 jobs, but how do we change the culture of not working to working? And my mother bust her ass for 4 kids by herself. So how do we get people back to busting their butt to take care of their families? So it's going to take time, but all of this stuff can start going away, and people can stop stealing and doing all these other things that they're doing that businesses don't want to set up in our community because they're going to lose money.
That's another thing too, that you do, Vince. That's real cool. Is that you do mentor?
Right, that's dope.
Yeah, you work with a lot of young people, and I don't want to
then for
like
the
put you
elderly too.
right. Yeah,
Right.
with the
No,
elder,
I
like
do for the elderly.
so I think, and that's probably where I would have preferred that you open up with Dion when he said, what have you done, or whatever. I don't think he said what have you done. I think he said how do you plan on doing it. But I think I would have loved to hear you open up by saying, listen, I work with young people, I work with old people, I keep the neighborhood clean, anything that's going
Right.
down, I'm on top of it. Crime,
Teach them
we make sure
self-value.
people get right. We make sure people get fed, nobody suffers, and we got a village. And I
yeah.
would like to bring that mentality to on a larger scale, and hopefully the rest of this city can benefit from seeing us do it. I would
Exactly.
like maybe you need to hire me as your campaign manager or something. I
Well,
don't
hey,
know.
Kev, I got a $50, bro.
Oh yeah, well,
I mean, Kevin, hey,
yeah.
Kevin, I think that's just something that I overlook because it's just human nature for me is automatic. And it is something that I will talk about when I get in front of the people in the district is that we have to as men, and I'm not speaking for women because I'm a man, and my philosophy and what I learned from the men that I grew up in my community is that we take care of the women, the children, and the elders. Period. So if we're doing that, I mean, it's a I mean, imagine, I mentor probably 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 kids right now, and I check on probably as many of my elders in their 80s, and just to make sure they're safe, and for the kids to be able to have someone. I mean, I think the last meeting I went to a couple of weeks ago, that the 12-year-old said that their mother said that they want them to be around men, and they don't have a father in the house. So how do we step into those roles? If we, I mean, I came back to Milwaukee, and the only thing that I heard in Milwaukee is everybody's talking about the village. I lived in Guam for 8 years, and I saw exactly how a village functions. It's like, if one part of the village has a fiesta, the entire island is invited to the fiesta, even the military people. So how do we make this village concept a reality? Men have to step up to the plate and take care of the children. And I say that is that we have to be a voice, change the school system, because our kids can't read, they can't write. I mean, all of these kids that I'm mentoring, from 8-year-old to 20-year-old, 20, 30-year-old, they can't read or they can't write, Kev. And that's a travesty. And we got all these schools in the community, and they've broken them up and they put them back together. And at the same time, we're not getting any value out of it, because our kids are I mean, they can't go get jobs. They don't have an education, can't fill out an application. And there's not, the manufacturing part of it is, there's not very many manufacturing jobs. I mean, a young lady that walks to work every day, DRS is moving, she's going to have to find a new job because she can't get to Menominee Falls. So we don't have any infrastructure in the inner city that can make us be self-sufficient.
How do you think you be able to work with the mechanisms downtown, though? Because like I say, what you represent in terms of the transparency, and in terms of, I'm really here to be a servant leader.
Mhm.
And I don't know that a lot of individuals understand what a servant leader is,
Mhm.
because
Well,
there's different ways to lead, but servant leaders feel like they work for you. You don't work for them. They're in place to help people, which
mhm.
leaders should be that
That's
way.
what a
Leaders,
leader is.
That's
right?
what
A
a
leader
leader
should be
is.
serviceable, but
Because you
well,
serving
hold
you
on.
serving the people you lead.
There's some people who are not servant leaders, though. There are people who lead because of ego. They lead with they lead with their heart on their sleeve. They lead off emotion.
Yeah,
Servant
yeah, it
leaders are
is.
a rare breed. So
Yeah.
so Vince, you strike me as that, but I don't know if that's oil and water downtown. Because when you get down there and you start talking to big money and the supposed gentrifiers, because that's coming. So if you come in right now as an alderman, you go down there, you're going to see motion after motion and licensure after licensure go to the development of this city for gentrifiers.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny that Fiserv is now coming, guess
Back.
where? Downtown.
Yep.
800 jobs.
When they finna open the office down there?
We're gonna
That's
build a
what they're doing
building.
now. That's what we're saying. They're about to come
Uh-huh.
back and bring
I
800
thought,
Yep,
jobs.
I
800
read
jobs.
that, and
Yep.
I thought I remembered that a while back.
They
Yeah.
just announced it. They just
Damn, I got to
announced it.
get some property
But,
down
but
there,
Kevin, to
man.
answer your question, I've got some. I talked to someone just the other day. He's a Republican, but he supports Democrats, and he's pissed off
Okay.
because he's not getting the best bang for his buck. So there are people in the city, whites and blacks, that have money, are pissed off at what's going on in the city. So what I see is that they've built some things downtown, but they also are understanding that in order to stop some of the things that are going on, the crime and the driving and people getting killed, is that something has to be done within the infrastructure of the common council. And that means if we got to get rid of some people, it sounds like to me, Kev, that we've got the deep pockets that are down there willing to work, ready to work with us now, because unfortunately, because of what's going on, and now it's starting to affect their community. I mean, the crime, people getting killed by cars, it's starting to affect them too. So now it's the bigger picture. It's not just white and it's not just black. We have to do something about the entire infrastructure in this city that is going to benefit everybody, not just a few people.
So I don't think they're ready to work with us. I think they're ready to get rid of us.
Well,
I
no,
think
I
they,
think
I think they thing is, nah, y'all had y'all shot. This is prime real estate. We right off the lake. We got the parks. We got the freeways. We got all y'all motherfuckers ain't doing the right thing. We about to move y'all around, and it's finna be our shit. And that neighborhood that you're in is very very beautiful. So once because that was their neighborhood,
yeah.
you
But
know,
I think,
and
Kev,
because
how do we?
my parents purchased their home in 1970 over there on Capitol from
Mhm,
some white people who had been
mhm.
there since the 40s, right? So when the house was built, so they want that back. They've always wanted it back. Like this, man, so let's just get rid of them. So I feel like those gentrifiers are doing. They're gonna want to move us out as opposed to work with us.
I think so. Here's the thing, Kev. I think one thing that the city of Milwaukee focuses on a lot, and they talk about is low income housing. What about affordable housing? What about having a situation where people can afford to buy a home versus low income housing? So now we've got people that are owning their property. So and we educate them the value of owning the equity and what that can do to you. You can send a kid to college based on the equity in that home. And why are you selling when we don't know? I mean, somebody coming in off you $68,000, they know that in 2 years this is going to be worth $168,000. So
Right,
how
right.
do we educate our people that, hey, you got prime real estate here? I don't care what they say or what they do, you're not selling. I mean, to that point, Kev, Chris Johnson, our buddy who passed away, that was his
Man,
situation. Chris said, "I'm not selling,"
yes,
and now my house is worth how much right
right,
here, and you're not getting
right,
this. So how do we get people to get affordable housing versus low income housing in these
man,
areas that we know that they want because of the freeway system? They it's prime real estate. They can hop on the
right,
Right.
freeway in 2 minutes. They downtown. We have to, as a people, they know what's going on. Then how do we? And we have all of this leadership in Milwaukee, black leadership. How do we start to educate our people as to how the game is played?
right. And you said it, so I got to give it up. Rest in peace to Chris Johnson. Real smart dude. We had these conversations a lot. And I'm not even a real estate guy per se, but Chris explained it to me in a way that even I could get it. But I wanted to say also that's the way I first met you is through Chris because Chris said, "Hey, I got a dude. He wants to run. You should have him on Outlaw Radio." And I said, "Okay." Vince came over, and I thought Vince was buttoned up real tight, and Vince fucked around, popped out the wine, was like, "Sit down.
Yeah, I
I got a
remember
cigar." He
that.
bossed up like, "Yeah, this is
Hey,
my
hey,
type of
Kev.
shit right here."
Look, hey, Kev.
Hey,
Hey,
we
Kev.
was
It's 2 o'clock
James
in the
Preppers.
morning. We in the
Vince said you
garage.
ain't said nothing.
Right. Yeah,
But,
Vince
but
Vince Vince sat with me after I think the first time he came. I don't know if it was cold or if it was hot, but I know Vince just
cold as
sat there with
hell.
me.
He was
Oh, was it
cold out
cold?
there.
Okay. He sat out there with me, man, for like 2 hours after the show, and we just talked
Yeah.
about
Me,
just
No,
me and
boom,
Kev, we
boom,
was
Jason,
boom,
out
me
there
boom.
and
2 or 3
Jason
o'clock
left.
in the morning.
We,
But hey, Kev, so I'm willing. What we did, Kev, I'm willing to. I don't sleep very much, so I'm willing to go out in the community in the first district and hang out at the garage and talk what needs to happen and to be on hand with the people that we serve. Ashante Hamilton, I've called his office. I don't know how many times. That whatever you want to call him, ain't never called me back and don't want to meet with me, right?
Yeah, I
And
seen
we
Ashanti be real disrespectful towards you one time, and I thought it was crazy. I was just like, man, I don't know how Vince held his scruples right there, because I would have had some choice words for him. He got real kind of what we call spicy with you at a meeting one time, and you
yeah,
just
he
kind of was
did.
like, yeah, it's all good.
He
But
knows.
he was talking to you like, yeah, like he wanted that smoke, and I was like, damn,
He
cuz.
can't get he can get it if he want it now. But I mean, I don't have anything against anybody, even Ashante. You can put me in the room with him, but I'm going to tell him exactly what I feel and what I think about him. And there's going to be some choice words that I'm not going to say on here, but I'm going to call him exactly like I see him. And the brother, because you can't work with me and what we're doing together because for the good of the community, I got some choice words for him.
Right. ENC Jordan said they do want us to move out. I know that for a fact. I'm working with a guy who's about moving us out. I keep trying to change his mind. He said he needs your information. Listen, And Ian, I don't know if you understand that there's a recurring theme with your affiliation with the Republicans, is that you keep knowing and associating with people who mean us as people of color no damn good, and you don't recognize the repetition of that. That's a direct result of you fucking with conservative Republican white people. So it goes to justify why black people feel the way they do. The more Republican friends you talk about, the worse it get. I do know a motherfucker that like to hang niggas, but I be trying to tell him to chill that shit, but it's all good. Not to that extreme, but it's Outlaw Radio, and I wouldn't be the world class smartass if I did not do that. Shout out to NC Jordan. Feel free to call in, by the way. 262-202-5131. It's Outlaw Radio. We're talking with Vince Tony. There are currently 5 empty aldermanic seats downtown. And I can go ahead and be funny and say, well, at least the level of leadership is the same as when they were occupied, right? Like it's as if nobody was there. But it's important right now, and here's an opportunity for those of us in the community who have cojones, who are servant leaders, who think progressive thinking, foundational Black Americans, is an opportunity for some of you all to procure some power. Still a real good job, $90,000 a year, $10,000 line of credit. I think it's even gone up. Some maneuverability, right? Get to meet people in high places. So somebody should run. Rail, we got to get
you. You got to remind them that they, they can't be
I'm
dipping.
down.
They can't be dipping in the pot either, though, Kev.
Well, you know what? I would expect some
the campaign fund.
I would. Right. You can't buy new shoes with your campaign fund.
Yeah.
Right? You can't
so when I ran, Kev, I ran before, and I had $556 left over. You know where it is? Right where it's supposed to be. They come check on it. It's in the bank. I ain't spent a penny of their money. I ain't going to jail for nobody.
Right.
Yeah.
So we got to get some. I say, Kamar, and you think I'm playing? We need some holistic candidates. I like to see how that play. I like to see somebody campaign on that. That for you laughing, real? I'm being serious. I like to see a representative from that consortium. I'm not gonna call them just a group because that's divisive. I'm saying someone from that common consortium who says, I have the political know-how and also have the holistic knowledge. I'm gonna come. This the kind of candidate I'm gonna be in if I get our district.
And I think that's very important, Kev, because when we look at our community and we look at our kids and we look at families and the products that Kamar's offering, and to be able to eat right, and how all of that helps the brain function properly. And if you look at the obesity and the high blood pressure and everything that else going on, I mean, that's a part of it too, Kev, because I'm going to be pushing for that too. When I go and talk to people, I work for Child Protective Services. So I've been in these houses and I know what's going on the inside of those houses. And then for us to get in there, it's about, we got to get some of these food deserts out of our community. We got to get adults to say, hey, what's in this stuff and how does it affect my kid's brain? Is he trying to knock me upside the head because I gave him a chip with some poison in it? We have to look at all of this stuff. And one of the things that we have to do, we know that when we came to this country and they started feeding us, they fed us the worst of the worst. And if we're going to continue to eat that, then that's on us. But who out here is going to say, hey, here's what we need to be doing as a family, because my children they need to be eating healthy, because when they go to school, I mean, you send them to school off of some down-laters. I mean, the teacher's going to be chasing them around the class because they full of that sugar. So what are we doing? What are we doing in the family? It's not, it's the entire family that we have to look at. And I think we have to look at it from a holistic perspective as well. It's everything, one thing.
I'm definitely down. I mean, and I love to be somebody's consultant or advisor, because I mean, just like you said, I mean, but the reason I was laughing is because it's kind of like oil and water to me. Like, I think about even when I talk to the community, just I put a status the other day about how that lady was just snapping about how, like, she jumped in somebody else's conversation who was talking about if weed was legalized in Wisconsin. And she jumped in their conversation, hopping on dude, like, no, I don't need to be legalized here. It's enough potheads as it is. Ain't working right. They smoking outside, offending me with that toxic. And then she walked past me smelling like perfume. And I'm like, damn, the mindset of the average person, they've been poisoned by anslinger. So they don't want to smell cannabis smoke that has all kind of natural beneficial terpenes that serve different purposes, but then they'll put on cologne or perfume that has all kind of poisons and toxins in it that they inhale it. So it's like, man, the mindset, me trying to talk to, like, people tell me herbs is the devil. Like, that's what I said. And unfortunately, in our community, we've been brainwashed to demonize the healing process. So that's why I was laughing, because it's like, man, that's gonna be a hell of an uphill battle. But shit,
It's
if
worth
anybody
fighting.
willing to, yeah, if anybody willing to fight it, I'd gladly be their advisor or
Hey,
consultant.
can you see this hand right here, boss?
I'm down with
Because
you, man.
and Kev, here's to the point is that I will continue to consult Kevin, Kamar, or whomever else that has solutions to problems that we have in our community, because it needs to be a collective effort. I can't do shit by myself. I'm gonna tell you right now, because the problem is too big. So as many people that I can get on board, that's going to spread a message of unity and how the village concept is supposed to work and how we're supposed to be taking care of each other. And I think, you know, for us to see first, we have to see it before we showcase it to the world, that we are a better people than what we've been given. So we can make our own. I mean, I went to a meeting probably with 30th Street Corridor was hosting it. I thought they should have been doing something else, but it's with Howard Fuller and Aisha Carr, I think her name was. And
The
they
school
were,
board lady, yeah.
yeah, and they were talking about the school system. And they also had representation from the Hmong community. And the concept that the Hmong community had was that we're trying to create a village of our people. And in our school system, we want them to be connected. It was the perfect example of what we're supposed to be doing, but they were talking about doing something different. So how do we get, and what the Hmong community is talking about is community-based schools, the way we used to have them. I want my kid, if I had him right now, to be able to walk to grade school, walk to junior high school, and walk to the high school if they can. Because now they took the community out of the city, Kev, because now we no longer have working down the street together and knowing
Right.
each other on the block and the next block. Nobody knows anybody. So that's why nobody's afraid to pull the trigger, because I don't give a shit about you. So I'll
So
kill you before
I
I'll
wanted
do.
I wanted to know, because you said about the monks, you said they have their plan is in effect.
It
I
is.
got this thing
They
up
brought
here
an
called,
architect there, Kevin. They had an architect there that's saying, "Here's what we're doing."
right. Well, right now it's in effect right here on 84th Street. The old Morris Middle School is now the Hmong American Peace Academy. And I'm
Uh-huh.
here to tell you it's a very well-run building. The children there are Hmong children. They're doing for self, right? Now, my
Right.
thing is why is there not? And I get that there's a lot of red tape and I get that there's a lot of issues, but at this point in the school system, there has to be a movement to bring volunteers from the community into the school. To and I maybe retired people, retired teachers, people, for people to come in and really mentor and work with these kids, because a lot of times, and I know this from being a school teacher, what happens in the classroom during the day is what happens in the classroom during the day. What happens at night until the morning dictates their life,
Mhm.
right? So I took a group of special ed kids and I put the old KB special on them, meaning I dedicated myself to being their teacher, because I didn't want them. They were all special education, and I felt like they suffered from being embarrassed from that designation of being in this classroom, right? So I built up an expectation amongst them to, yeah, they might think you're crazy or whatever, but if we behave better than them, they're the ones who look stupid, right? So I had this class popping. I'm talking about it was to the point where everybody's test levels went up 2-3 levels. Principal was amazed, all this, whatever. The next year after summer came and summer came, boom, boom, boom. I came back in the fall because I wasn't going to go back. It was in Webster Middle School. I went back because they called me like, Mr. Barnes, you need to come back, get your class. I went back. That time in the summer had damn near erased all the shit that I had set up. So I had to
And
start all over.
yeah, and
And and
that's a very important point that you're making, Kevin, because I've been in social service and child protective services, and what I've seen in those households, and what you're saying about the volunteerism, the village, is that we have to see in our neighborhoods that there's a need to go inside that house to help that single mother or whomever, because those attributes and those behaviors that we're seeing, they come from the house. They only at school for a couple hours, but when they go back to that house, it
Right.
might is hell. And they release that stuff in at the school system. So how do we get that hell out of the house? The only way to do it is to be in the house. And it's going to take volunteerism, but I don't want to call it volunteerism. I want to just call it that that's our responsibility to take care of the kids, right?
Right. And but here's the deal though. And what it exists as is some sort of structure and support for kids after school. Right. And I'm gonna tell you this, you can run on this. If you were to get that district, I have right now in place a county resolution to start community restoration centers and park pavilions in underserved neighborhoods. We had a community resource fair. I had over 35 community-based organizations, from food baskets to work vouchers to referrals for hospitals. I had all of that right in the Blacks Pavilion in Lincoln Park. We got no positive press. Only one little newspaper showed up. We called every station. They didn't want to see that. We fed the kids. They was out. We had the mobile skating unit that had to set up the skating rink in the parking lot. We had the kids out there doing all of that. I said all that to say this: if you could get that job, then it's time to call Mr. Crowley and say, look, if you look on your books, there's a resolution passed that says the Blast Pavilion that technically is a park pavilion in an underserved neighborhood. We like to develop that and make that a social service hub. So that's always there. So if you was to get that job, that the county just sitting on it. They never did anything with it. After we kind of, I seen behind the curtain. So I figured out who the wizard was, and then I left Oz. I'm just gonna leave it like that. I left Oz, and that was the end of that, right? Like, because I was working with the county has an office of African American Affairs. Somebody say what? Where they what? They got what?
Where they at?
The building's still there on Martin Luther King. What the fuck they're doing is anybody's guess. They didn't have any money. And that was the complaint with, and she's gone now, so I can say, the first director, my sister Brookshire, she told me, like, Kevin, the problem is we don't have any money to do anything, right? They established this office. I'm trying to get money just to keep the office going. So I'd like to know. I know at one point that they were being supposedly utilized by the county to do race training and diversity training to county employees, which I laugh at and say, you're going to do the training, but you're not going to change your hiring practices. So it's null and void.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, so there's some mechanisms over there in that area that can be utilized to bring that quality of life back up to what it was when I was young. Because when I was young, that was Chocolate City. If you was prominent and you was black and you lived on the north side, I'm just got to go ahead and say it, you lived over there in that Rufus King neighborhood. That was just what it was, right? Like, so I've seen the quality. It's kind of deteriorated now. And King is my alma mater. So, I mean, it's half a block away from where I grew up at. So I'm just saying there's a lot over there. I'm very familiar. And by its proximity to Atkinson, Atkinson should be invested in to become a business district. The problem is you have some serious chaos, like I said, up and down Atkinson. It needs regulating, right? And I don't know what you got to do. If you got to, when they want to shut shit down, they can do it. I've seen them concentrate when they want to clean up an area for some gentrification to occur.
Yeah,
they got a magical way of doing it instead of, because it's a lot of potential retail space over there. I can remember it was barbershops and taverns and hardware stores and churches and cleaners and restaurants all the way back to Capitol to the 5 Points damn near. Yeah. So, and that area right there is on the verge of something too, because that's connecting the east side basically.
Yeah.
So that I would hope that these people who get in office, and maybe if you got elected, you could be kind of like the lightning rod to say, listen, we ain't even tripping. Let's get together and make this happen. What you got in your district? That's what I got in mind. Let's, do some business, right?
Collaborate, yeah.
Right. And especially when we keep saying the corridor, people don't understand that the 35th Street corridor basically is actually a corridor that runs through the city, that these industries that used to be all through the city, the train came through there. Right. This could be one hell of a tourist attraction if developed, right? And if the properties along it developed, right, and cleaned up. It's been sitting shitty for about 45 years. Now we do have this organization who is supposed to be dedicated to fixing it, or not fixing it, but developing it.
Yeah, economic development. I mean, how do you acquire company. I mean, to me, it's about, I worked for Steel Tech Manufacturing when they came about, and they built a product for the military, but they couldn't see past that product, meaning that where's your sales force back in the rest of the country and the rest of the world to see what else needs to be made that we can make it at this facility, meaning that what can we do in this area to attract new business and new investment and keep it here.
Yes, I
I'm talking
always
about going throughout the country to say, hey, here's what it looks like, and here's what we're going to do. Can you come? Why aren't they sending people throughout the world to say, hey, come to Milwaukee, come to the corridor. We got some prime land here. Build up and make it what it is. Make it yours.
I used to always say, why is Mayor Barrett still here?
He's
Why is
still
he not
here.
on the plane? I used to say in the sense that why is he not on the plane meeting with some Fortune 500 CEO saying, listen, I'm going to work on getting you a tax break. We're going to do whatever. I'm going to make sure I work with the police and the neighborhood to make sure your place is safe. We need for you to invest in this community. It only takes one, and then it'll take off. I would say, nigga, get on the plane. I'm saying the same thing to Johnson. Why you over here cutting the ribbon at the goddamn little kids dance ballerina ceremony? Get your ass to that airport, get on the plane, go to New York, have an itinerary, go to LA, go to Chicago, go to Minneapolis. Meet with some of these. Hey, man, you could build a nice distribution center along our corridor that we're developing here. Let me show you the layout.
Yep.
Why is this not being done?
We're
It's
not pushing them.
ridiculous. Well, you know what? Because once again,
Common
on
counsel.
Outlaw Radio, we stumble into the fact that the conflict of interest is, God forbid you help those colored people in southeastern Wisconsin. It's going to throw the entire state off, because if that prison population dips by, say, 8%, there's massive layoffs in that prison economy in northern Wisconsin. And God forbid all those white people who don't have dairy farms, milk or cheese or cows anymore, lose their jobs at the penitentiary, right? So the state of Wisconsin, and it's like, well, we ain't gonna really, you got to be careful with Milwaukee. You don't want to help them too much. Them niggas will mess around, stop going to jail. A couple years back, Kamar and myself had an interesting campaign that we wanted to get started, but I think it might have been a little bit too deep. In the words of one of my favorite rappers, Nas, one time he said, "I'm over your head like a bulimic on a seesaw." And I think our concept for this was entirely that, because we said boycott the prisons. And people thought that meant we was going to say, boycott the prisons. You ain't treating the prisoners right. No, we were saying, black people, boycott going to prison. Stop doing crime, right? I mean, listen, I get you got a tough life. You fall into some situations, but a lot of this shit can just be avoided. Now, I do understand there has to be a connection, because young men who are graduating from high school now have to get back to having vocational skills, because you got a better shot of being some sort of laborer, an electrician, a plumber, a mason, an electric, or some like somebody who goes and lays concrete. You got a way better job at doing that, making $100,000 a year, than you do being the next lawyer or the next rapper or the next goddamn singer or dancer. That's a job. People don't understand. Plumbers get money.
Man,
Electricians get money, and our kids are
HVAC.
so disillusioned that, man, I'm gonna have a Maserati at 20.
Yeah.
They don't understand that. No, you get it. Listen, I used to give tours, right? When I worked at MATC, I used to give tours to MPS schools through Gear Up. I would take them on a tour of MATC. And I'll never forget, in particular, I had a group and I took them to the manufacturing part of MATC downtown, where they have CNC machining, right? The latest machines in there, the laser operated computer joints, right? The brother who's over it, who had invited me to bring the kids, say, I have been in this industry for 25 years and I make over $150,000 a year. When I first came in, it was all old white men. They wouldn't even let us operate the machines, the lasers and all that. But them dudes have all retired now. And I got in and stayed, and the dude in front of me retired. Now I've been there for this long. So I'm teaching these kids this skill. They could realistically get out of high school next year and make $70,000 a year doing this. And it's really just being in here maintaining the machines. Yep. When I looked around at the kids, motherfuckers had on earbuds, so in the background with their phones out. I snapped, I checked them, I regulated every last one of them. Like when we was upstairs looking at photography and he was showing you music videos, you motherfuckers was all ears. Oh, I could do that? No, you can't do that. Bring your ass down here to this CNC machine. And so we gotta put the priorities back in order for our young men to understand. I gotta have some work skills to get out here
Yeah.
into this real world, or else all I can do is hustle. All I
Yeah.
can do is get down in the streets because I'm not gonna know no better. So how do you get with NPS in that district? Because 53206 is sitting right next to you. How do you get in there and try to impact some change in the schools?
Mm. One thing I had, Kevin, in the first district here, the brother named Eddie Hatch, he HVAC, he does that. He tried to get the library on Villard, and Ashanti kind of screwed him over. So his plan is to start a training institution for young boys to be able to get into that field. I mean, HVAC you do the big buildings, there's a lot of different areas. And he has a lawsuit out right now against the city of Milwaukee and Ashanti Hamilton and Barrett because of what they screwed him out of that deal. He had to dissolve his business because of them.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like you talking about HVAC, right? Like that's what I'm saying. We're talking about laying fiber optic cable, right? Shit like that, and so there's a million ways to make a lot of money, but brothers they don't have those skills coming out. Usually they got to go get locked up or go and get in some program to get access to that. So I'm just saying, like, how do we get that back? Like you were talking about that institute. Welding right now. People don't understand custom welders make a lot of money. Some of them make $50, $60, $75 an hour. Once again, when I worked at MATC, they had free welding classes in the summer that led to an internship after you got out of the class. And no kids from the north side would get involved in it. So they actually moved it from here to Oak Creek, and then it boomed because the kids on the south side, I'm wondering what their nationality was. They ran right to it. Oh shit, we in this. And so I'm saying, like, we got to get attention. And I keep saying, I'd like to see a change in the model where when a kid gets to 9th grade, we allow them to choose a career path focus. Right. So when I get in 9th grade, I go sit down with a counselor and we say, do you want to be on the liberal arts track? You want to be on a vocational track? What do you want to study? Oh, I don't really want to go to college. I want to be a work with my hands. Put you in the vocational program. You're going to get some general studies, you're going to learn the basics, but your focus is going to be on finding what part of using your hands you want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we had options.
Say liberal arts, then we send kids, teach them about law, teach them about civics. Now, okay, you go on and get a liberal arts degree from a university and get you, because we wasting a lot of money trying to force college on kids. You need to go to college and get you a bachelor's degree. Everything ain't for everybody, right? Like, so you get kids who end up going 2.5 years and leaving with a whole bunch of motherfucking debt. And they come home like, God damn, how am I gonna pay this shit? Which leads to, more and more and more. But I'm just saying, I feel like we should give kids a choice early.
Yeah, I think, Kevin,
for some kids it make a little more sense to go get a skilled trade. Right. So you know what I'm saying? They can start their own business even.
Yeah,
it makes sense for some kids, but college is important also because you know what I mean. You gain a lot of lifelong contacts in college. Like a lot of the time they say it ain't what you know, it's who you know, and a lot of the time in college you learn or you meet the right people. So, I think you know what I mean. So ain't neither one of them wrong.
Yeah, right. I think when I was coming up, we had options. I mean, when I went to Robert Fulton, they had the woodshop class, but you can do other things too. But there was options, so you give kids a variety of things that they might choose from. And then I went to North Division. So in North Division, I went to MATC in the afternoon and did metal shop class. So I had, do I want to be in woodworking? Did I want to do, learn about a micrometer and all these other instruments? I had options there, but we don't have those options anymore in our schools. I think King had their specialty. So schools have to have their specialties to give us the kids choices and let them see that the big picture is not all about going to college. You can go 2 years and be a plumber or whatever you have to do to make bank, because we need laborers too, right?
Absolutely. And I love what Kamar just said. I love what he said, because I hate, I hate, there's some people I've had conversations with, and obviously I'm an individual who went to college, right? Like, so, and I don't use that as anything. Like, I'm not walking around with my chest stuck out like, I got a master's degree, I almost got a PhD. I don't do that, right? But I hear people say, man, fuck college, I like when Kamar said, for some kids, it's necessary. It was absolutely the shit for me because I never intended to work in a factory. I never intended to do hard labor and deal with the elements. I always said, I'm gonna be sitting somewhere with a suit on in an office, looking out the window, doing what I do, going on break with my newspaper folded under my arm. I already knew that's what I was going to be. So for me, it was perfect. It just put me in a position where I could say, okay, you get access to some rooms you wouldn't normally get access to. But I do understand the kid who says, I don't want to do that. Man, I'd rather go out here and learn how to, do something real, get me a hustle on the side. I do some installing and some carpentry. I'm good with my hands and be an entrepreneur. There's those kids too. And if they chose that path, you say, well, I want to be an entrepreneur early on. You say, okay, well, we're gonna make sure you get some business classes. Now that once we put you in that program, you are held to some standards. You get in, you flunk out, you out. Right? You're out. Like, in order to qualify for this program, this is what you got to do. And then we'll just put you in what we call general ed, which is just regular high school. You have no career focus no more. Now, there can be probationary periods, and I'll get all this from, I was placed in the program for the academically talented in middle school, and I don't know why they did it, because I did not want to be in there, and I got kicked out both years.
But you did it on purpose.
I did. Absolutely, I did. I was like, I'm getting the fuck up out of here. But what they did was they put me in regular classes, but I still had the science, the math, and the English classes and the reading classes for the program for the academically talented. But they did put me back in the hood homeroom where I was comfortable at, hanging out with my friends doing hood rat shit during lunch. Shout out to Bell Middle School, man, back in the day. Oh man, so I figured.
I mean, when
did you? Go ahead, Ray.
Oh no, I was just gonna say when I was in school, we did get presented with options. Like when I went, because I went to Morris, and at Morris we did wood shop, metal work, stuff like that. But then as we got in the 8th grade, getting ready to go to high school, we did meet with a counselor, and it's like, okay, well, what do you want to do? Because at that time, what was it? Okay, at that time, North Division was for like medical and nursing and shit like that. Okay, yeah. Tech, like all my people went to Tech, and they got apprenticeships at Harley in sophomore year. You know what I'm saying? And then I think Madison was computers. I ended up going to King, which was just for college prep, and I did go to college, and then realized college wasn't. Well, I ain't gonna say college wasn't for me. It's just that on paper, my parents looked real good. My father was a truck driver. My mama was a nurse. So I ain't get shit for college. So I burned up the little credit cards that I did get. Yeah.
I thought you was finna say your mother was a teacher and your father worked third shift. My bad. Go ahead.
Mandela Barnes.
And don't forget the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
And the milk and shit. Right, and the milk. But on paper, we look real good. So I didn't get shit for, like, I maxed out all my credit cards paying my tuition and buying my books. So I ended up not going to class because I was hitting the Union Pool Hall to get my money back and shit. So
that's a good ass excuse, right? I was trying to,
because it was, man, that school was whacking me, fam. So I had to go to the pool hall. But so
I real. When we hit the pool hall, boss, I got a couple dollars.
Hey, you know what? I was telling them how I see you running the table when I dropped the book off. Shit, as soon as I could break away from my family, I'm down, man. I ain't. That's the only time. Shit, the only time I could stop my thoughts from running around. But going back, I wish I went to Tech because I'm like, man, these cats got Harley apprenticeships in sophomore year. My boy bought a
Tech and King. Are you kidding? Stop it,
man.
Stop it.
Yeah, I wanted to learn a trade, man. I was like, that. He learned what did he learn? Machinist or something. But like, back then it was a cold car back then because we was kids. But he called him a Chrysler Sebring.
Oh my God!
With the drop top and shit. I'm like, this nigga got a Chrysler Sebring with the drop top. I was like, man, I should have took my ass to Tech, man.
No, see, that's the short-sighted thinking. Don't you ever make a decision based on a regular ass Sebring That shit don't even exist no more. That shit is an air freshener now.
It was, hey, at the time
The
I was
worst
driving
car
a
made of
Corsica,
all
so you
time.
know what I'm saying.
Oh my god.
I had an '88 Corsica at the time, so
Oh my
you
god.
know, but yeah, man. So they was at least offering it when I was in school. I did, you know, I followed where my mama and my father went, and you know, it's like, okay, well, it's college prep. You know, I was in them IB classes getting my ass whooped, man. So like real shit, I graduated from King with like a 2.1. But I tell people, fuck it, that's a 4 anywhere else. Shit.
I graduated with a I graduated with a 1.6.
No, you didn't, Cam.
Hey,
I
that's a
absolutely did.
3.5
Did
anywhere
you?
else, man.
I absolutely did.
Hey, there
I
was a
graduated.
news article that said King was recognized as one of the hardest schools in the whole nation of America.
I disagree to that, and I'm gonna tell you why. But I
Okay.
know King is lauded, of course, for their academics nationwide. But I'm gonna tell you this: the school is actually easy. I was on some bullshit.
Man,
And
that school wasn't easy.
it was easy. Listen, my daughter, Ace King, she graduated in
Okay.
2020.
She's
She's never
smarter than
below a
you.
3.8
So
because
she
she
got
was on
that
her
full
business.
She's
ride to
smarter than
college.
you. That
Well,
ain't
hold
saying
on
that.
now. You don't have to get insulted now. You don't have to be
I'm saying,
insulted now.
man.
But hold on. Now, I can say I graduated from King with a 1.6, but I finished my coursework in my PhD at Cardinal Stritch with a 3.8. I had a
Wow, that's dope.
3.5 when I got my master's. I had a 2.8 when I got my undergrad. So you see what I'm saying? I should have been, if I wasn't so preoccupied with Capitol Drive and Atkinson and all this kind of stuff. You know, of course, there was marijuana and malt liquor and all kinds of stuff involved, and gang fights in Capitol Court, Northridge, and the crack game. So if I wasn't so distracted, I could have aced that school with my eyes closed. That's what when I got to college, they was tripping. Like, okay, short story, but I'm gonna tell it. And you know, people say, "Damn, here you go with another story. Get your own podcast." Fuck it. Listen. So I went to because my grades were bad, right? I went to a school. I got a scholarship to go play football. I had to go all the way to North Dakota to get it, right? I was in North Dakota, and I'll never forget. They came and got us from practice during fall camp, and they said they called names. Kevin Barnes, you come with us. Where we going? Just come with us. Take us to the library, to the Learning Skills Center. They show us around. They show us where you can get tutoring at, the Writing Center, all this kind of stuff. And I'm saying, oh, this is cool. This is cool. I might need some of this shit. Then they sit us down and they say, well, because you guys are here because of academic problems, statistics show that you are most likely to either flunk out or drop out by the end of the semester. So what we're going to do is give you placement tests to see where we need to put you so that it'll increase your chances of succeeding. And I said, I can't, if I'm hearing this correctly, it sounds like these motherfuckers think I'm dumb. Yeah. So we took the placement test and I had like top percentile in every last one. And so they came to me like, look, well, we don't understand why academically
they'll accept you in the school and then test you and say, well, we don't know if you're smart enough.
Well, no, because you have to. Because I'm gonna tell you, college will fuck you up. If you get put in some 200 classes when you should be in a 100 class, you starting off on the wrong foot. So what they did was I ended up with classes none of my teammates had. English literature, American history before 1877, biology 2. I had all these classes, and you know, we getting ready. Where you going? I'm going to English 101. I'm going to reading the practicalities of reading. What the fuck, nigga? I'm about to go to American history. What you got this shit? I said all that to say King was easy. I could have aced it. I was distracted. In North Dakota, it wasn't no 2-4 and it wasn't no Capitol driving. It was a lot of weed, but it wasn't nothing else. You know what I'm saying? But I was able to get my mind right, and I became a good student. So to Kamar insulting me saying my daughter is smarter than me, she absolutely is. She absolutely is, and I'll give her that. She got a month left in England.
Wasn't no insult, Kevin.
It was, you know, it was kind of shady. It was kind of shady.
No, man,
you know what I'm saying?
I was giving your daughter props.
Right. At my
expense. You, I was digging more up, not shading
right.
you.
At my expense, I feel a lot of heat coming from the end of that couch. I'm just saying. But no, she'll be home from England in a month. She's spent this semester
what I'm saying,
in England.
man? She all the way in England.
Yeah, baby girl. She represents.
You ain't never been to England.
But you know, also too, I got to give myself credit as a father, because I sparked her mind when she was young, because I put her up on the music. Actually, I'm gonna tell y'all the truth. I put her up on the funk. And I'm not lying. You can ask my wife. I read to her womb. I read to my daughter in the womb
Yep.
And as far as she can remember, she heard Flashlights, she heard Parliament. She loves funk, right? She
She
prefer old
heard
shit over
free
new
your
shit.
mind and your ass will follow.
All of that. One of her favorite characters when she was
Maggot
little
brain.
was, and I had to get her a T-shirt made, was Sir Nose devoid of funk.
Devoid of funk.
On the Parliament album, I think it's Motor Booty Affair, where the funk bird is about to swoop down on Sir Nose. That's like her favorite shit. I'm going, okay, so Outlaw Radio, Death in Taxes. Fuck all that happy shit. You know, we got problems out here in these streets. Takeoff just died, goddamn it. I'm emotional. No,
yeah,
but
that was my favorite Migo too, man. That shit wild.
okay.
I mean, like
I
as
didn't,
far as
I didn't.
rapping version, he was my favorite.
Yeah, I think that
Okay.
when you're hearing you talk, Kevin, and you know, talking about family and stuff, the importance of a father in the life of his child while the child is in the womb, reading to and communicating with your child and having that relationship that you can build on until she goes to England.
Right, no doubt. And
Yeah,
listen, I can't take anything away from her mom either, but
absolutely not.
I'm saying I was just talking shit to Kamar because he said she's smarter than me, and she is. But I also want to make a point on kind of building up this community where we as black men, fathers, and I'm not saying we don't, because I know a lot of brothers who are great fathers to their children, and they lay their life down for them. And that's why I always, any conversation I've ever had around sisters, when they be like, "What you tell your guys who don't take care of their kids?" And I'd be like, "I ain't got no guys who don't take care of their kids. Fuck you talking about?" Like,
Right,
all my
right,
guys is alpha males,
right.
right? We all take care of our kids. You fucked with the wrong one, right? You try to pick the cute one, see?
Yeah.
You and them light skinned dudes. That shit gonna get you caught up over and over and over again. You wanted a DeBarge.
Yeah.
Now you a baby mama. But no. I started the show off by saying my name is Kevin Barnes and I'm not your baby daddy. That there's no controversy right now. I just thought that shit was funny to say now when I introduced myself. Hi, I'm Kevin, and I'm not your baby's father. That's kind of a way to say I know you want me, right? I know you want me. But Vince, how do these people get in touch with you? Because we got to do some fundraising. I'm hiring myself for your campaign. We got to get this fundraising kicked off.
Yeah, I think the number is 414-630-6175.
Okay, we got to get your Cash App. We got to get you a flyer. We got to get rolling, Vince.
We
We got
rolling.
to
You
get
know, I think
rolling.
Kevin. I think the most important part for me is I'm going to be out knocking on doors and getting acquainted with people. I've already talked to the person that I ran against the last time. He's willing to, you know, to help out too. So it's coming together. And, you know, I've been in stores and people recognize me and ask me, are you going to run again? I've got a lot of people. I wasn't going to do it, but then I met with some people and I had two different versions of why and why not. And I thought about it and from a spiritual perspective and what they were giving me, win, lose, or draw, it's still something that I have to do. And I'll be happy either way. If I win, lose, or draw, I'm going to be happy no matter what.
Yeah, man. And we're gonna be hard body karate with you, Vince. You already know you got our support. And I feel like do this for Chris. Honestly.
No,
I hate to come
absolutely.
off corny. But if you know, you know. And if you've had a conversation with that brother, you know exactly what I'm saying when I'm saying not like I almost feel like you have to do it just for him. Just to give it
He was going to be my
testimony.
campaign manager, so that was my guy. Chris was like I said, Kevin. That's when we met, and we met on the premise of somebody that's pissed off about what's going on in Milwaukee, and that's Chris. And that brother didn't even know him, but he helped me out, and he has a tremendous amount of advice that he gave me, and he was advising me on this situation, and he would have been my major advisor. So I miss that brother dearly.
I do too, man. Every time I get ready to do my show and I start digging, and I'm like, I think in my head, like I should call Chris and see what's up with this. Like if I hear something come from downtown, I'm expecting my phone to ring and be like, I know who knows about that. And it's just like, nah, that brother's not here. So, you know, peaceful
Yeah,
journey to
a
that brother,
wealth
man.
of knowledge, man.
Yeah, man. Good brother, man. Good brother. I wish I could dig through the archives and find some of the shows when he called in and just gave it to people over the years. He never would appear, but he would call in. I even have a show where he was on the phone the whole time. Me and him for about 2.5 hours going back and forth, man. I'm gonna dig that up. That was when we was doing what was it on Thursday nights? Outlaw Nation, which I would want to bring back too. You know, I just got to figure something out. But yeah, Vince, we got you, man. There's a lot of issues to be you know, addressed. And I want you to know that, like I said, you're not really a guest. You're like an outlaw. So
I
whenever
have
you
you
want
here,
to,
boss.
yeah, whenever you want to come on, I don't care, Vince. If you want to come on the show and do 20 minutes, 30 minutes for the next 3 years, you got it. All
Appreciate
you
it,
got to,
boss.
yeah, I'll add you to the Word Mob Outlaw group, and that
You
way
know,
you
I
get the
think, yeah,
notification.
based upon what I've seen you do and what you're doing, eh, I'll say when I become alderman, I'm going to have a platform similar to that where the people in the district will have access to me.
Okay, okay, that would. Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Maybe a brother
That
can
would
get a
be
job.
dope.
Maybe I can finally pay Rail and Kamar, and they'll stop showing up late. Like, motherfucker, you don't pay me. I come when I want. Right? Like, I'm joking. I'm joking. You can't say shit to me. They ain't paying me. You know how black people is. Ain't you supposed to get on the show? That motherfucker ain't paying me. I get there when I get there. Shit. He on there talking shit. That's what he
Speaking
do
of,
anyway. No, I'm joking, man. I appreciate both of them brothers, man. And Kamar, I got to give you your credit because you've been on time like a motherfucker for like you on the streak now. Because for a minute you was 8:30, 8. Oh man, what y'all talking about, man? Shit, I just remember it. He be on time now, so I got to give him his credit. I got to give him his credit, man. But yeah, Vince, we want you to come back, man. So we'll
I
discuss
appreciate it, Kev.
what your next move will be, and you're gonna have the People's Networks full support, man, whatever we could do, because you've always supported the show. And I truly believe we need people like you downtown. Like I feel like we don't respect our elders enough. We don't defer to our elders to say, hey man, let's talk to these young boys. How should life, how do we do this? What should we avoid? You know, what can I miss that will make me stronger and better? We're not doing that enough. And you know, we lose people every day naturally. It's just like, man, you should have mind that when it was open. Now it's closed, right? So
Okay.
I really feel like this would be something, and I think if people didn't learn anything from sitting through the last 3 elections, uh, and seeing the underachieving, inactive leadership that we've gotten from downtown, if they don't vote for you this time, something wrong with them. It ain't nothing wrong with you. I
No,
want you to
I
know that
understand.
it's something
I
wrong
mean,
with them, right?
yeah, I
So
mean, you know, I think this is a perfect opportunity for the city of Milwaukee to get 5 people in office that don't have any connections and make sure that and the Democrats don't try to sneak somebody in there that they have control over. We need independent minded thinking people that's going to be in there that's not being what you call them. We're party poopers. So we don't care about either party. We want to do what's right for the people. The heck with the Democrats, the
That's
Republicans, and
it.
whomever else that's
Right,
not on our
right,
page.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
right.
We poop on both parties for the egregious treatment of our people. That's right. Kamar, Hump Day edition, man. We about to be on holiday. My birthday is Friday. Right, right. My birthday is Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, man. I'm getting triple OG status. Gonna chill, relax with my fam bam. I just love spending time with my family now. Especially the dynamics in my family is so funny now because my kids are older. So who knows what the conversation is gonna be like when we riding down the street, right? Like so. But I'm gonna hang out, man. I'm happy to have made it, right? I know at one point they told us when I was in high school that our life expectation was 19 and a half, right?
Mhm.
And I'm about to turn 47. So I beat that trend in spades, right?
Yeah.
So Vince, what's your number one more time, or what's you share your Facebook or whatever so people can start to
Yeah.
reach out to you early.
You know, I'll come back on and get everything. I wasn't totally prepared. I just wanted to, kind of get on and let people understand who I am and the direction that I'm heading or we're heading. It's not and that is not even about me. It's about us collectively doing something that's going to be different than it's ever has been, and we're going to be able to see something change in this city. And I can guarantee you that if District 1 will change in certain areas because I'm going to work with yourself, other individuals, rail, the police department, the fire department, whoever I have to work with to put out these fires that are going on in this community.
Now I hit it on the hood though. Can I still work? Because I've been blew that pop stand.
You own, boss.
Okay. I just want to make sure people like his ass don't even live over here. I used to. Goddamn. Kamar, what
I
you
mean,
got going on this weekend, man?
it's about the village.
This weekend, I ain't doing nothing, man. I'm laying back, hanging out with the fam. I ain't got
Okay.
much planned this weekend, but I got a whole lot planned for the rest of November and December.
Man, it's gonna be unseasonably warm too. Y'all enjoy this shit while it lasts. Kamar, I'm gonna hook up with you this weekend because we already talked about it. I'm gonna hook up with you.
For
Well, what
sure.
you guys shaking this weekend, man?
If it's warm, I'm I'm gonna bring my drone out, try to bring my remote control car out and enjoy some of this last bit of warm weather. But
Don't tempt me.
otherwise, hey man, come through. But
You know what?
otherwise, yeah.
No, go ahead. I'm gonna let you
Uh,
finish. Go ahead.
but otherwise, just right now, with my family getting their prenatal care coordination agency licensed, I just been looking forward to actually being a prenatal care coordinator because I was told that I could kind of bring my own tactics in there. So, what a prenatal coordinator do is they get with soon to be mothers or mothers who have a child 4 weeks or younger, put together a plan. Like if they trying to go back to school and shit like that, we put a plan together. But even though that's the core of the job, I also plan on seeing if they're interested in learning emotional intelligence, because I'm connected with a lot of doulas and midwives. I want to give them the education on the benefits of natural birth, the benefits and why breastfeeding is better than any other milk, as well as just teach them things that we not taught, as far as like the benefits of having a lotus birth, which is the child still being attached to his placenta even after it's out of the mother, because that's when they're getting all their antibodies, or as well as the benefits of leaving them coated with that milky white stuff, because that's actually protection, and it absorbs into the skin and in their mouth, and is the first steps of them having a healthy digestive system. So, mothers aren't taught this. They taught,
Dope.
like just I was talking to my father earlier today about my oldest boy. At the time, my fiance was on state insurance. So she kept, every time we went to the OB, because I would accompany her with every visit, and she like, I feel like I'm leaking. I don't feel right, and the dude was a state OB, so he like, you're healthy as a horse. Other women wish they were this healthy, shit like that. But when she went for the final ultrasound, they couldn't see my son because all the amniotic fluid had leaked out. So I had got a page while I was working at Pepsi at the time. I was out in Pewaukee, and she was like, they about to induce me. I got to hurry up and go. So we get there. The dude, this state doctor, dude, he was so shitty, dog. His name was Dr. Botner. He literally, like, she was there. They was trying to induce her. They had on this Pitocin for hours, which had her contractions coming back to back. So she couldn't get comfortable. Then he like, okay, well, the Pitocin not doing anything. So he took the little hook, stuck it in her, broke her bag, and said, well, all right, you have y'all, I wish y'all good luck. I'm on vacation. And another dude came in and delivered my first son. So so just see, yeah, it was shitty, man. So just seeing how what some of these women go through with, black women have the highest mortality rate in pregnancy, and just seeing what some of them go through, man.
That's right.
I want to use my position as a prenatal care coordinator to kind of educate them, so that even if they don't have a doula by their side, or the father by their side, they at least educated enough to be like, no, I know my rights. I know what, shit like that. So I'm looking forward to, being the prenatal care counselor that can introduce them to midwives, doulas, and breastfeeding advisors.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I was about
Nice.
to say, I'm sitting here. I've been sitting here with a couple stacks worth of new RC stuff, and because of my back, I ain't really got to work it.
Hey, bring it
I've
out.
been so I can't. That's what I'm saying. I got 75, 85 mile per hour stuff, and I'm stiff, so I can't whip it like I used to when it go past
Yeah.
me. I got to
Yeah.
turn slowly, like, oh shit, like it's not
Just stand
not
far
as
enough
fun.
back. Just stand far enough back
Yeah,
so you
it's
can
not. I
see
gotta
it.
find the right space, man. So we gotta converse about that
We can take it to the parking lot. Like, I stay
man,
right down the street from that Spectrum training grounds on Appleton. Nice ass parking lot over there.
it's got to be right by my house. You don't live far from. We'll talk because I got
Okay.
at least one day. I got to take one of my big ball, my 100-mile-per-hour joints out and just let it rip. So, but so
Hey.
Vince, you got something planned for the weekend? Because I know you do. You do all kinds of stuff. You on the links? What you doing?
Well, is the weather warm? That's all I'm doing. I'm gonna enjoy these last few days before I get out there and start pounding on doors and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm the golf course. I gotta get in a couple of rounds before I can't play under 50 degrees. I get too cold. So if it's over 60, I'm good. But 50s, I don't do 50s.
How long you been golfing?
Man, I want to learn golf.
Probably I learned actually I learned how to play golf when I was in Guam. This guy had a pool hall there. He played pool and he played golf and he can work a golf ball and a cue ball like you couldn't believe it. So he used to play pool with Minnesota Fats and those guys. So I took it up there when I learned how to touch the golf club. That was the last time I touched the basketball to play.
So
Okay.
you can have ball control over a golf ball like a
You
cue
can
ball?
make a golf ball, man. You can make a golf ball dance.
Man, I gotta learn that.
Yeah.
Then there's money on the golf course. So I want to rub elbows with people I can tell my ideas to, and they got the money to want to invest in shit.
I got a job. I went out golfing by myself one day and ran into a couple of guys. They were looking for a purchasing manager, and I was working for a Metavante Corporation at the time. We talked and chopped it up, and after the end of the round, they made me an offer. I went back to Metavante and said, "Hey, I got an offer."
Man, that's dope.
Yeah, it was absolutely.
Golf. I gotta learn it, man. I gotta learn it.
This show will be shared millions of times because I'm gonna make sure we share it and share it and share it. If you're listening to it, share it, share it, share it. Please support this brother. It's time we put the right people in place. And I think I called the show Death and Taxes for a reason, because I think in a lot of cases we don't see anything positive. We can't find the light. We can't take time to enjoy ourselves because of all news is bad news most of the time, right? And so you have to figure out a way to make your life come sum up to more than death and taxes. It's not always about how much something costs. It's not always about how gloomy something is. Sometimes you have to find what I call organic enjoyment. It has to be something that you would do for free. And what I was told was, if you find something that you're willing to do for free and you enjoy it, that's what you're supposed to be doing for a living, right? So I said that to say, Black people, we got to start defining things more. We have to speak more definitively. We have to adapt a new attitude. We have to start acting like we belong here instead of acting like we want somebody to accept us here. We're no longer looking for inclusion. We're no longer looking for acceptance. We don't want validation from the other side. What we want to be able to do is exercise intentional solidarity. Now, intentional solidarity, from my perspective, is not just a catchphrase. It's not just a hashtag. It involves a lot of inner workings of things that must happen in our community in order for us to progress. And one of those things is political representation. You don't trust the system? Cool. You don't want to vote? Cool. Well, when we're having this conversation about policy and procedure and legislation and all these kinds of things, then you stay out of that conversation. You stay over there and talk with the people who you want to talk with. I still have not lost any respect for you, and you shouldn't have any less for me because I choose to participate. But the main thing you need to understand is the only way we're going to be able to move forward is if you and I come to a cool understanding and create a win-win situation. So maybe you vote in some aspects where I would like you to and support me, and I support some of the things that you do over there to help you. It's called cohesiveness. It's called cohesion. And I look at every other culture and they're allowed to do it. Hmong's do it, Asians do it, Mexicans do it, Jewish people do it, Arabs do it, right? Everybody does it. Even gay people do it, right? They stick together and support each other. No pun intended. Pause. They stick together. Be careful, Kevin. So I'm telling you, as a people, the revolution that we are now under mandate for exists in our minds. And until we stop thinking about things the way we think about them and approaching them the way we approach them, we'll forever be a step behind, because we've had the same way of thinking and the same standard operating procedure for a very long time, and it has not served us well. You have to understand that everything we've tried in this country to this point has failed. So it's time to try some new shit. right? We update our browsers more than we update our mind state. Sometimes you got to update your mainframe. You got to maintain. You have to change your oil. You got to put new shocks, spark plugs in, change your shocks. Your suspension getting saggy, right? And I'm not talking in a surgical fashion. I'm talking about in a mental, physical, spiritual, physically spiritual fashion. And what is physically spiritual? Then it means getting your soul in shape. It means getting your spirit in shape. It means gaining an understanding about things you didn't have an understanding of yesterday. Intentionally seek out those answers. Don't just leave them unturned. Well, I don't know that, so forget it. If you got to take it a line at a time, invest the time into learning what you don't know, because it leads you to new discoveries, right? I said all that to say we as a people have to do better, and we got to stop talking about it and do it. It starts with brothers like Vince. It starts with brothers like Rail. It starts with brothers like Kamar. And it ends with the bad guy, myself, who believes if your criticism of my motherfucking community outweighs your goddamn contribution, your ass is most certainly a coon, right? And you need to rock with us next Monday night, man. Peace and love. Share the show, man. Peace out, man. Capital Driving Atkinson, stand up, baby. Vince, we'll talk, man. We got to get a garage in before it get cold.
For sure.
We do it in the cold, Kev.
Oh, yeah, I'll still be out there, right?